Here we are with episode 56 of the Whatnauts Captain's Log. I'm Kyle Springer. I am one of your hosts, joined by Melissa Wilkinson. Melissa,
I'm
how are
host
you?
number 2.
Host
I'm
number
good.
2.
Kyle, yesterday I saw a clown.
Yeah. Okay. Tell me about it.
My mom and I are just driving down the road and we glance over at the lane next to us, and it's this little red car covered in yellow flowers, and the sticker says maximum occupancy 20 clowns, and there's a clown woman driving the car, presumably on her way to or from a party of some sort, because she is entirely decked out, wig, makeup, red nose, and everything.
Why?
Because she's got to live, I guess, and it was something I'd never thought of. Like, you only see clowns in the place where a clown is supposed to be. I've never seen a clown en route to or from that place, just in the wild, all clowned up. And it felt really magical, to be honest.
Do clowns exist in the wild?
They must. I mean, it's a full lifestyle choice. And she was in the next lane over for us from like 15 minutes. We were in the immediate proximity of this clown woman.
Wow.
Yeah. I wish I knew,
That's wild.
Where did she come from? Where did she go? What is she listening to?
Are there Joe?
Are there clown podcasts? Is there
I'm
a
sure
clown
there is.
news station? There's gotta be.
Clown news station.
One time my friends and I Googled, are there clown awards? Within the clown community, is there a big banquet and award show once a year? And there is. Yes.
What is it?
I don't remember any of the details now. But there is a clown of the year
awards
named every year.
The World Clown Association.
Yes. There's a clown of the year named every year, and the list was, as far as I remember, a pretty decent gender divide. There's a lot of women in clowning, Kyle. And when you picture a clown, not a pop culture specific clown like the Joker, Pennywise, or what have you, Krusty the Clown. When you picture just a clown, it's almost always a dude, right? You're picturing a dude clown.
For the most part, yeah.
There's so many women in clowning. And I think we need to stop and appreciate them, like this lady in the next lane over from me and my mom, just driving through suburban Missouri.
So I'm looking at their website. Let me switch us over to the thing so people on the video version can see it. This is their website, the World Clown Association.
Mm-hmm.
They have Clown of the Year, Alley of the Year, Lifetime Achievement, and Legacy of Laughter as their awards.
Is it Alley of the Year or Ally of the Year?
Alley, Alley.
Huh.
And
interesting.
It from the little description that it has down here, it looks like that's the name of a community of clowns.
Okay, yeah, a clown alley. That does make slightly more sense because I don't know what it takes to be a clown ally.
Group of clowns. You know how you can have a gaggle of geese?
It might be an alley of clowns. That might be the linguistic term for a collection of several clowns.
Yeah. According to timesofindia.com, a group of clowns working for a circus company or any professional organization of clowns is known as a clown alley.
That's cool. It's also nice to hear there's clowns in India. I don't spend a lot of time thinking about international clowns outside of old French and Italian commedia dell'arte stuff.
Yeah, this is wild.
It's fun to learn about.
I have no idea. I'm honestly surprised that they're still around. I feel like we would have come up with some kind of alternative. Because so many people are scared of them. And like that's the thing. Like a lot of the ones that say they are scared are like, yeah, it all started when someone hired a clown for my birthday when I was a young kid. Why are we traumatizing these young kids?
I think we should definitely respect trauma. Your feelings are real, but also,
Also,
like,
respect clowns.
yeah, like,
Like
don't throw in the towel. Like, if everybody's scared of clowns, don't just get rid of clowns. Like,
right,
build up better representation of clowns.
sure. I just yeah. I mean, there's I guess nothing wrong with. I'm not
And
scared of them.
yeah, and like, they're
There's just
not. I mean, it's just a job. It's just a lifestyle choice. It's like being afraid of a cyclist or a dentist or something.
well, hey, now that's a really real fear. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, I don't know. Like, there's it's something that I don't think has changed much
Mhm.
over the years, and that to me is surprising to see it. Like, it's still almost exactly what it is, or at least from what I know, which is
Mhm.
absolutely nothing. Um, it seems like it hasn't changed or it hasn't progressed. It's always stayed the exact same, and
I don't know about
that's kind
that.
of cool to me. It's wild.
Yeah, it is nice to just have, okay, we cracked the formula in like 1781. We haven't really changed it since
Right?
then, but there's got to be like 20th, first century implementations to the clown world. I'll have to go out
When
there and
was the
find like
first clown?
first
First circus
clown.
clown.
Like,
Philip
sir.
Astley created what is considered the first circus clown in England in 1768.
Oh, I wasn't far off. Wow.
Damn. Okay. Thank you, Dr. Google.
Mhm. I will have to go find me a modern day contemporary clown show and see what it's about and like just see what clowns are up to.
Yeah. Yeah, what are they up to? What are they hiding?
Not in a suspicious way, just like what are the advancements in your field? Like I work in academic journals and there will be societies will come together, colleagues will come together and they're like this is what's new in the world of blood pressure. This is what's new in the
It's higher
world
than
of
ever.
digital journalism. We don't have any clown journals. I have a dance journal, but that's as close as I get. I don't know. What is the state of clown culture?
Who's out there doing that hard hitting clown journalism that the people really need?
There's got to be a clown journal. In one of my journalism titles, I did process an article about taxi cab drivers. They've got like a community newsletter that is apparently really outstanding in its field. It's a really great
Hmm.
record of like this very pivotal part of some societies and their view on things and how current events affect them. There's all kinds of communities could do it. Maybe clowns could too.
Yeah, sure. I don't put it past them. This is just such a weird topic. I have no idea what to say.
Oh, well, do you want me to tell you about the trip I took to the circus that actually did not involve any clowns? Just me
Yes.
driving around my neighborhood somehow involved a clown, but the circus trip didn't.
Before we get to the circus that you went to, this adult supernatural circus thing,
Yes.
um have you like so you were just driving somewhere and you saw this clown. Have you
Yes.
ever been like stuck in traffic before? It's completely backed up and you're just looking around at the people next to you and you're trying to like piece together their lives
Oh,
and who
that's
they are and
all I
all that
do
stuff.
all the time. Yes.
There was once that I was going with a friend of mine out to Ohio
Mhm.
to pick up his girlfriend and then bring her back to Virginia. Um, and he was like, "Hey, I need some company. You should come along with me. And then on the second half, you can be the third wheel." And I was like, "Great! I love being a third wheel. It's awesome." And so we were leaving Virginia, and I think we're like
Mhm.
an hour outside of Richmond, and we get stuck in just traffic that is not moving
Oof.
whatsoever. but we start looking around, and we're both really big comic book nerds, so we're seeing the same things, and we're having the same thoughts of
Uh-huh.
like, there's this really angry Miami Vice looking Italian dude there with like a Hawaiian shirt that's not buttoned up, and he's on the phone, and he is yelling. He is angry at something, and he's in this like top down red convertible, and then like right in front of him is this big like tanker truck with some kind of radioactive material in it. And so yeah, it has the like stay back 25 feet caution, like all of that stuff. And we're sitting there like, I wonder if this is the day we become superheroes, and that guy is our supervillain. We're like, yeah, I was thinking the same thing, man. You saw it too? Yeah.
Not a bad origin story.
Yeah. We're like, this is it.
I think the weirdest thing I've been stuck behind in traffic is just stuck for a series of trains that are passing.
Mhm.
And it's these flatbed trains. It's not like the storage compartments or anything. It's just a platform with something strapped to the platform. And I have to wait for like 50 wind turbine blades to pass. You've seen wind turbines in the distance. Is that something you guys have out there?
Not commonly. I'm sure we do have them somewhere, but yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Those, when you see one of those things up close, it's like a block long, and I just sit there and wait
Yeah.
for 50 of these things on a series of just flatbed train trailers. And I think I waited for like 15, 20 minutes until we were all out of wind turbines. And then, only then could I go to brunch.
That's funny. That's like the worst timing too. Like right when you hit the start of the train,
Yes,
just like,
yes. Start of it.
no.
Beginning to end. I saw them all.
How long did that take?
15, 20 minutes.
Oh yikes. That's the worst. I don't think I've ever been stuck behind like the full length of a train. I know out west once or twice we've gotten stuck at
Mhm.
one, but it wasn't that bad. Who knows? Melissa, you went to this supernatural circus performance thing. I don't even know
Yes.
exactly what it
Yes.
is.
I saw an Instagram ad for this thing called Paranormal Cirque. It is an Italian company that was doing a tour across at least the immediate Midwest, perhaps the rest of our great country. And they were stopping in the parking lot of my local mall. The high-end mall, though.
There you
A
go.
classy mall. So
Not the haunted one.
this is a reputable place to put a circus tent.
Wait, reputable or reputable?
Reputable. I think you had it right and I had it wrong. Yeah,
I was
reputable.
gonna say like you're the fancy English major who
I do
knows
oral
how to.
exams. I don't know how to say words.
I was like, you probably know that better than me, but I've never heard anyone say reputable.
So I
so
buy a
it
ticket. Hmm?
it was an Instagram ad. Have you ever bought things off of an Instagram ad before?
Yes.
Interesting. I don't think I've ever done that. But like, ooh, that's something like I would want. They're always
Once.
wildly off.
Once ever I did it, and it was like shapewear. And I bought it before I was
Uh-huh.
in that wedding to make sure I would look good in all the
Sure.
photos. Delivered as promised. That one was absolutely on target.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah. So I had good luck with that. I wanted to try this circus. I get a ticket. I'm all the way in the back because I'm very cheap. But I'm like, it's a circus tent. How big can it be? And it was still very good seats.
Mm-hmm.
They're like what, 40 feet away?
Sure. Oh yeah,
Why
that's
ever
not
consider spending
that's
more
not
money than the
bad at
20
all.
bucks it takes? And what I had been expecting and how it was described is like kind of a cabaret style show. And this might have just been my interpretation, but I think cabaret, I think like burlesque. And this had been described as like a mature audience experience. And it's like kind of supernatural. So I thought it was going to be like spooky and sultry. And there'd be like these burlesque acts and things mixed with the normal circus stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And that isn't exactly what it was. It
Interesting.
was more straightforward, just circus with weird comedy bits in between like the physical acts. So the first thing they come out and they've got all these dudes on like a monkey bar jungle gym sort of apparatus just twirling around, which was impressive.
Yeah.
And then they have this host guy come out and they just do like shticky pantomime bits because this is an Italian circus. I guess they've designed one show that works for all audiences without any words to it. It's all pantomimed, and it's all stuff that could
Huh.
play without a single word. And so it's all like, I'm gonna step off the stage, but when I step off the stage, my crotch is awkwardly at eye level with like an audience member, and I'll pretend to like grab their face and have them give me a blowjob. It's very crass. It's
Okay.
because I guess that plays. You might not like it, but you get it. You understand what it is. You did not need words to get that joke across. And it
Yeah.
seemed like that was their strategy. Like we're just going to be crass and bawdy and wacky and just sort of pantomime everything and get the audience in on like all these wacky bits that we're doing.
Weird.
And a lot of these went on for way too long.
Yeah.
And the
Okay.
jokes were dead after like two times they did them. Sometimes it worked though. Sometimes like the guy comes out in the audience and he gets all these audience volunteers and they're going to be like actors in a movie he's directing. So he's like, "Okay, this is the hot lady, this is her lover, this is like the husband that comes home for a date." Or not a husband, because he's like knocking at the door. That's a key part of this. You wouldn't knock at your own door if you're married. It's some other date, the guy she's supposedly with. So
Debatable if the marriage is not so great,
yeah, who knows really?
but
Again, no words for anything.
yeah, sure.
So he's supposed to come knock at the door and then like hear some noises and barge in, and then he like takes out a gun and he shoots the lover, and then like he shoots himself, and then the woman kills herself. This kind of Shakespearean tragedy, but just sort of
It's like
amped up and made real goofy. Like you guys are all going
Birdman.
to be, yeah, you guys are all going to be like these actors in this melodrama I'm directing. And they go through it over and over again, and the guy's pantomiming, like, no, no, not good enough. More action, more oomph, more
Make it
passion.
make it bigger.
Yes. So this thing keeps going, and it's getting really tiring. But finally, they get to, okay, date with the bouquet of flowers waiting at the door. It's time for you to like knock at the door. This is your scene. And the door is represented by this metal frame, just
Mm-hmm.
these four pieces of metal in a rectangle welded together. So the guy kind of like knocks at the thing and it plummets right down. The thing falls over with a giant crash. And then he just like, huh? He just like takes a big comedic shrug, and it wasn't planned, and it was the best part of the entire thing. Like to go through all of this monotony of them doing these schlocky bits over and over again just to have that happen was absolutely worth it.
That's funny.
And I did also get to see 8 solid minutes. They played a loop of the Addams Family rap. You remember the Addams Family movie, and they've got like a rap song at the end of it by, I believe, MC Hammer or somebody like him.
I don't
Like,
remember the rap song, but yes, I know the Adams family. I know their theme song. Like that's the song that pops into my head,
it's
not a
some
rap
song
song.
that goes like, they do what they want to do, live how they want to live, creep how they want to creep, whatever. It's the Addams Family, and it's this early 90s rap song. They've made like an 8-minute loop of the chorus of that
Oh
song,
no.
and it keeps playing while this guy is doing plate spinning. It's
Yeah, it's by MC Hammer.
yes, and it goes on for so long while you're just watching plate spinning, which is neat, but it's not that neat. And it just becomes
It is one of
otherworldly.
those things of like, why that song? Like, this has nothing to do with the
Yeah,
Addams
it's
family.
so out of date. This is not in the zeitgeist anymore at all, but that's the magic of it. I feel like I've fallen into a hellscape where world has just come apart at the seams. It's like, remember the song from 1990, this movie end credit song? It will
So,
play for 8 solid minutes while you
so
watch a man spin plates.
what was so supernatural about it, besides
Oh,
the Addams
not
Family
very
rap song?
much. Not very much. I mean, there's people walking around the circus in like cool horror makeup. It's got a lot of the trappings like of a haunted house kind of. There's kind
Mhm.
of scare actors prowling around and all of this. They're dressed like mad scientists or, evil clown costumes. They're not doing any actual clowning. They're just wearing the costumes.
Sure.
Or like werewolves or vampires or what have you. And there is like some stage decoration like the guys who came out to do the jungle gym act, they're dressed like some sort of haunted prisoners or something like that. Like they just sort of, it's normal circus stuff, and then they just sort
With
of
horror attire.
yeah, horror
Okay.
attire and like set
Interesting.
dressing and things. Yeah,
I I
there were some.
I feel like that would be disappointing
It
almost.
kind of was, especially because I didn't like, I got while all of these pantomime, like audience interaction joke bits were there. I wasn't a big fan of them. They had their moments, but a lot of the show was, oh, they're still doing this, aren't they? Well, what's the next thing? And the next thing comes, I'm like, okay, the actual circus stuff is cool. And then it's like a pantomime bit for a while.
Huh.
But the circus stuff was neat. I saw a guy do a really neat aerial silk act.
Oh, okay,
Those are
yeah.
fun. And again, I've mostly seen ladies do these. I don't think I'd ever seen a dude do an aerial silk. Very impressive. Very good.
There you
There were
go.
magic tricks at the end. I love magic. I don't know if we've covered this. I'm a sucker for magic. I'm so impressed by it every dang time.
This is reminding me of some other story that a host of one of another
Hmm?
podcast uh, said. This is him. So he went to Vegas for some conference, and
Yes.
of course he's out there. He's like, I need to see a magic show, and
Mm-hmm.
so
I would too.
he goes to some magic show, but he just I mean this story, it's Jeff from from Achievement
Mm-hmm.
Hunter, and he has this thing where he would see these tricks and everyone would be like, oh yeah, good, 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 and just like 10-15 seconds too late you would hear him go, what, how, no, how? It's just it's the funniest thing. I think they have a Achievement Hunter animated adventure
Oh,
about it.
nice.
It's so good.
I heard
It's one of the funniest things.
I heard a story on a podcast of somebody who is at the Magic Castle in LA,
Uh-huh.
and they're in one of their little rooms watching a magic show, and Nicolas Cage happens to be in that same room, and he's just drinking straight out of an entire bottle of wine. Like he's just drunk drinking wine, wearing some
I'll drink to
weird
that.
old wizardly looking outfit, and just getting his mind blown. Like, whoa, where to go? How'd you do that? And like half the people in this audience are like, they're not really watching magic. They're
They're
just watching
watching
Nicolas
Nicolas
Cage
Cage.
watch magic.
Yeah, that's great. I don't
Yeah,
think I don't think I've ever been to a magic show.
I've only been to like little ones. Like there's magic involved in this. That wasn't the whole point of the thing.
Mhm.
I've been to
Can you do magic? Do
I
you know
can't, which is
any?
even sadder. Like people will make fun of somebody who can do a magic trick, and I'm one step below that. I'm somebody who wishes they could do a magic trick but can't.
That's funny. So, when I don't remember exactly how old I was. I was I want to say I was in elementary school, maybe
Mm.
sixth grade. However old I was in that stuff. I don't know about you, Sasa. I know, but I can never equate an age to a grade.
I
Like
can do it pretty well.
when I say like I was in third grade, I have no idea how old I was then.
I was 9.
Well then I was 9 too, most
Yeah.
likely, but I don't know like how. Why does it work like that? Why is third grade 9 years old? What? I don't know. It doesn't make sense. Whatever. But I want to say I was in sixth grade, so maybe
12?
yeah, 12 or 13, something like that. My family went up to Boston for Thanksgiving because that's where I was born. I
Mm.
was adopted, so I had never really been there.
Oh.
Um, and so they're like, yeah, we'll go up to Boston. We'll spend Thanksgiving there. It'll not be a necessarily great Thanksgiving in terms of like we're gonna sit down and feast and stuff like that, but we're gonna
Mhm.
have this vacation. We're gonna go out and eat a lot. We're gonna do all the touristy stuff. And I was interested in going to Boston, but I
Mhm.
don't ever really like touristy stuff. Like it's just not for me. So I'm sitting there with like my Game Boy and my Dragon Ball Z action figure and stuff like that. Um, my mom would always call him Geku.
Kiku.
Do you have your Geku action figure? I'm like, no, mom, it's Goku. God damn
Just
it, get it
just
right.
holding a small Goku up to the window saying, "Look, Goku, this is Harvard.
Look,
Look, there's
Goku,
the bay."
this is Boston. um, and so we went up there, and the two things that I really enjoyed was was that okay, sorry about that. I just got a text. Um, was that we went to a left-handed store. I'm also
Oh,
lefty.
cool.
And a lot of it was jokes and stuff like that. It'd be like
Yeah.
left-handed pencils, and it's just that you can use a pencil in either hand.
Yes.
Dumbass. But they had like left-handed notebooks that opened
Mhm.
up backwards and stuff like that. But then we also went to a magic shop.
Mhm.
Um, and I ended up buying a deck of cards, and I think I still have it somewhere in a box of who knows what. But it was those like fake decks of cards where like every other card is shorter.
Huh.
So
Okay.
when it's one of those things, so excuse me. So when you cut the deck, you
Yeah.
always cut it on like a certain ones, and you know the one underneath will always be like a certain color, or a certain
Mhm.
you know stuff like that. Um, so I had that. That was the only like magic
Mhm.
thing that I had. That was it. That was fun, and I forgot Goku in Boston, so he liked it so
Oh,
much
he's
that
still
he stayed.
there.
Yeah.
Wow.
And legend has it that Goku haunts the streets of Boston.
He's a lost toy.
He is. He is.
I hope he's found an exciting new life out there on the
Hopefully.
cobblestone streets. Kyle, have I told you about the City Museum?
I don't think so.
This is a treasure of St. Louis. The City Museum is the most generic name possible
Hmm.
for the most magical place in the world. It's this huge old converted factory and warehouse, this big, like 12-story tall, big block of a building. And this artist converted it into this kind of play space. And it's all made out of like recycled materials and art stuff.
Okay.
So, like, you go in on okay, you're outside of the place. They have built a giant jungle gym around the outside of the building, all made out of like recycled like iron and steel. There's an entire plane. There's a shelled out plane that you can just go up and climb around in. There's slides. There's a giant outdoor ball pit where the balls are this big and like adults can go scramble around in there. You look up at the top of this building, it has a Ferris wheel, it has a series of slides, it has a giant praying mantis statue, and it has an entire school bus hanging off the edge of the building.
What did they
Secure
do to that city?
It's entirely secured. It's just half on the building, half off. It's you can just go in there and sit and climb
You're,
around and take a Sharpie and write your name on the bus and you
so
go and
it's not like a museum of like historical,
oh
like
no.
important city documents and
No,
artifacts, and
part of it is.
this was
But
the
yeah,
first brick that made St. Louis. Here it
no,
is.
it's just like this artist went and found stuff and made stuff out of it and you can touch and climb on and explore everything.
Huh.
So you go in and then you go inside the building and you're inside like there's this massive concrete whale. You can go climb inside the whale's mouth. You get down into this
Just what I
series.
always wanted to do.
You go down, there's a series of caves, there's pools of water, there's aquarium tanks, there's fountains. There's an area of this place that's an indoor skate park. It's all the stuff
Mhm.
that's in a skate park, but you just run around in there and you swing on ropes and you slide down ramps. They have the world's largest pencil. They have
Is
more
it a
caves.
left-handed pencil?
A pencil's a pencil, Kyle. You can't even pick it up because it's about as big around as like a dang tree.
Oh man.
Like the biggest tree you've ever seen. This pencil's that big. Like there's more and more fake caves. It's like you've just walked into a movie. It's like, well, now I'm in Labyrinth. There's a 12-story slide. It's wild. Kyle, look this place up. You're just looking at me. Go
I
Google
am.
this.
Let's see. It's called the City Museum.
Yes, just City Museum here in St. Louis. It is an absolute legend. It is the coolest thing that our city has. The number one thing, if a visitor is coming here, we tell you you have to go to the City Museum. You just pay $12 and then go run around in this place.
Okay, I'm showing
But I
people.
bring this up because one of the things they have inside this building is a circus. They just have one big room where it's got like these risers that go up and you all crowd in there and they put on a mini circus for you. Like they've got acrobats and gymnasts and like a little trapeze there inside the building. And you can just go and sit for half an hour and watch a circus. And then they'll do another show an hour after that, and they sell like popcorn and hot dogs and the
This
whole thing.
this looks like the set of Ant-Man. There's just like
This looks
giant
like the
toys. Oh, there's the bus that is on
yeah, you got a
building.
point there. Some of the things are so big it does make you feel like you're Ant-Man. This place is it's great. It's got
Oh,
everything
there's
in
the
it. And then it also does have
giant
some
praying
legit
mantis.
some actual museum aspects to it. There's a lot of old architectural features like look at these wrought iron gates, look at this concrete pillar, look at this stained glass window. There's a whole series of rooms that are just full of like preserved biological specimens. Like there's a whole wall of like butterflies pinned to boards or
Uh-huh.
like taxidermied birds or something like that. Like it's a wonderland. You just wander from
Hmm.
room to room and you're like, "Whoa. Wow, look what mankind made."
Look at our greatest achievements. A giant statue of a praying mantis.
I cannot articulate for you enough what a wild magical experience it is to go to this place. And the food is good. They've got like the best chocolate chip cookie I've ever had. Hot
Oh
and
wow.
fresh all the time.
What's your favorite kind of cookie?
Oh, probably is just classic chocolate chip, although I
Okay,
do
good. We can still
love
be friends.
unless you want me to go brand specific and name an Oreo or something like that. Like an Oreo is always going to beat a Chips Ahoy, but if we're
I
talking
was just
home baked,
gonna say, as long as you don't like oatmeal raisin.
I
Those,
like I like them. I mean, they're not
they're
like in the
they're
top 3 probably.
they're they're not so I don't necessarily like raisins, but they're not bad. The worst thing about them, though, is that you always mistake them for chocolate chips. And
No.
it's so disappointing. Have you never like reached for a cookie and thought it was a chocolate chip one and then eaten it and be like, oh, this is oatmeal raisin. Oh my god.
No, I take a very hard look at them first, because if I'm taking a cookie, I want the perfect cookie. Like, right amount of toppings. Is it big enough? I study this. I don't just grab a cookie at random.
So
It's an important choice.
sometimes they just look so convincing that it's happened. This is a real threat. Okay. Millions of people suffer from this, Melissa.
We are raising our raisin alert from yellow to orange.
Okay. Great. I approve. Wild stuff. That looks fun, though.
You should.
Museum.
I have given you a series of great things to come see in St. Louis, but this is the number one thing. You could come here just for this, and the trip would be well worth it.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, they have a circus
agree.
in there, and that's the last time I had seen a magic act.
I just, yeah. I would love to know how to do more card tricks and stuff like that. That's the type of stuff that I want to know.
Just gambit nonsense all over the place.
Yeah, stuff like that. I know how to cut a deck of cards with a single hand. I can do that.
That's I can't do. I am a mess at shuffling cards. I can't make my hands do that. I've got like short, thick like fingers and like really wide palms. Like my hands aren't the same proportion everybody else's hands are.
Okay.
I can't do it, which means that's the number one way to impress me. Like if anybody like successfully like cuts and shuffles a deck of cards, I'm like,
wow, magic.
You are royalty and I am a mere peasant.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's not even magic. It's hard to do sometimes with certain decks, and I don't know what the difference is. I think one is actually playing cards and one is like not. There's like smaller decks, and then there's ones that are wider.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, with those extra wide ones, it's hard to like move your thumb and hold them all at the same time and make it work. And
too small.
It's strange. Melissa, I've been watching Fear the Walking Dead.
Okay.
I just caught up last night to everything they had on Hulu. I know there's their 5th season, I think, is happening right now or something like that.
Been that long already, huh?
Yeah. Did you ever get into The Walking Dead or Fear the Walking Dead, anything like that?
I'm not a zombie person at all. Like, not in that I hate them or I fear them. I do not fear The Walking Dead. I'm just really indifferent to zombies. Them as a narrative device just don't do anything for me.
That's, I think, an interesting thing about Walking Dead is it's not really about the zombies.
That's what everybody tells me. They're like, it's not about zombies. It's just about human society falling apart. And I'm like, that's not more fun for me.
I mean, yeah, it has that stuff. It's also about stuff of like, well, what does authority, like, do authority figures in society today still have the same authority once society has gone to shit? Like, how does that work? Is marriage the same thing? How does that work? You know, it tackles a whole bunch of stuff. But yeah, it ultimately ends up being like, hey, shitty things are happening to morally gray people who are trying to figure out if they're morally gray or not. You know, so it can, you know, it's not for everyone. But I think a lot of people say that because there are a lot of people who, if they haven't read the comics or they haven't watched the show, think it is just it's a let's go kill some zombies kind of show, because that's what my dad thought it
Mhm.
was, and he got into the show and he liked it well enough for the first couple seasons, but eventually he was just like, this is boring. Like
Mhm.
it's just them talking and philosophizing, and I don't
Yeah,
even know
to
if that's a
me,
real
it
word, but
sounds like all the parts of Lost where they're just sweaty and hungry and need to find a place to live, which aren't the best parts of Lost. So why would I
yeah,
watch a whole series that's that, but also with zombies that I don't care about?
yeah. Like it has all of that in the midst of all this like tense, like, oh my god, what's gonna happen? But I've read a bunch of the Walking Dead comics. So watching the show was really fun because it's like, oh, I kind of know what's gonna happen,
Mhm.
but I want to see what they're doing differently at the same time. So it was always that, like, okay, I recognize they're in volume 3 now, but oh, that's
Mhm.
different. How, um, and it's weird. I stopped reading The Walking Dead a long time ago. For this simple fact of what I just said, it's more of the same stuff over and over
Mhm.
and over again, and they're at a point in the show where it's like, okay, I can kind of see, like, they're right about to where I stopped reading, but not they're
Mhm.
the show is now so wildly different that it's kind of like, okay, I can see they're pulling some of the same ideas for the beats. Like, okay,
Mhm.
this person gets captured in the comics. They did that in the show, but in completely different ways.
Mhm.
Um, so I've been watching that. That's been fun, but I've also been into Fear the Walking Dead, because
Uh.
it's a spin-off, but it's not based off of characters in the comics.
Mhm.
It's just, here's more Walking Dead stories we're making up because we're making so much money with this. We're gonna make a second Walking
Yeah.
Dead show, um, and I actually like it a lot. The first season I thought was interesting because, like, the main character, or who you think is the main character, has two families. He married, got divorced, and then remarried, and so he
Mhm.
has like an ex-wife and a kid with one
Yeah.
family, and then he has his new wife, and then two like step kids. And
Mhm.
so when everything goes to shit, he has to be like, okay, well, who do I
Oh.
protect first? Like, this is awkward. So I like that they've moved on way past that now. But it speaking of like Instagram ads and stuff like that, I
Uh-huh.
saw a Twitter ad for a casting call for Walking Dead stuff, because apparently they're making a third Walking Dead show. I
Where's
don't
this one?
They're filming it here in Richmond, which is
Oh,
why,
that's why you got
yeah,
it.
yeah, which is just like, hey, we're looking for extras for
Well,
some new Walking
if
Dead thing.
they need a zombie who can break dance, they've got you.
They've got me. um, and yeah, like I like The Walking Dead well enough. I like Fear the Walking Dead well
Mhm.
enough. I don't think either of them are what they used to be, like in the height of Walking
Mhm.
Dead and its popular. I mean, it still does gang busters, but it's not as pop. It's not what Game of Thrones did. Like, it was Walking Dead for a bit, and then it was Game of Thrones and all of that. So like, people have kind of moved on,
Mhm.
but it's just baffling to me that they still have, like, they're still making more of these shows. Like, it's not just like, hey, we're just gonna focus on the one show we have. No, we have a
Mhm.
second show. No, we have a third show now. I how is this
I
possible?
don't know. I guess we have a culture that supports it. Like, we love franchises now, which sounds like a kind of diminishing way to say it, but like we love connected worlds. We
Yeah,
like seeing multiple things happen in one setting. And this isn't
which is neat.
exactly horror, but it's horror adjacent enough. And horror will go like, there's a dozen movies in a horror series, and you
Hmm.
can make a new one every year, and they always do well. Like,
Yeah,
even if they're not good, like that's a genre people will go see anyway.
yeah,
Like, regardless of the quality, horror movie's a horror movie, and I'll have a good time with it. And I think this might have kind of the same appeal to it.
yeah, yeah. It's it's really fun because also the shows originally started in separate time periods and
Oh,
on opposite sides of the US. So
that I
the
knew that there
Walking
was a geographical distance.
Yeah, The Walking Dead started in Atlanta, I think like 6 months or so after everything went to
Mhm.
shit. And then they've moved their way up to Virginia, which is where they are now. Fear the Walking Dead took place in LA. They went
Mhm.
down to Mexico and then back up, and now they're traveling across. They're in Texas, right
Mhm.
now. Um, but it's interesting because one of the characters who was in The Walking Dead left that show and then like journeyed across the country, made it to Texas, and met up with the characters in Fear the Walking Dead.
Mhm.
And so it's neat to like see him continue his story and all of that stuff in that. So it's neat that yeah they
Yeah,
they can do stuff like that. They've also been a little bit more experimental
that's
in
nice.
Fear the Walking Dead. I wouldn't really call the show experimental,
Mhm.
but you can definitely tell it's like, okay, these are the ideas that might not work on the main show, but they still might be worth exploring some, if that makes sense, or just like weird one-off situations that
Mhm.
there was one character who was off on her own for a couple of days, and she went to some fast food restaurant like a McDonald's or something
Mhm.
like that, and she's looking for food, and she finds a big giant tub of like mashed potatoes, and it's the fake ones, so
Yeah.
they've lasted for 8 months,
Mhm.
just sitting there. She hears something outside, so she goes to hide in the playpen stuff,
Oh.
and she gets in there and she goes down the tunnel and she goes into the ball pit, and immediately I'm like, oh no, don't go in the ball pit, what are you doing, like, no, don't do this. And yeah, exactly what I thought was gonna happen happened, where like
Ugh.
she's underneath, like she's hiding in the ball pit with her face, like her eyeball like
Mhm.
poking out, um to watch this other person who came in and eventually stole the mashed
Oh
potatoes and stuff
no.
like that, and starts to walk away. But as she's walking away and all this noise is happening, there's this like zombie kid that like wakes up in the ball pit,
Oof.
and it's just like, oh god, we all knew that those ball pits were disgusting and gross, and there's a dead child in there now, like this is good.
Mhm.
um so yeah, they have neat stuff like that. It's like, oh, okay, they wouldn't do that in regular Walking Dead, but
Hmm.
it's fun, it's good. I finished season 4 of Fear the Walking Dead last night.
That's so much.
It's a lot. And they're on season like 9 of Walking Dead,
Ugh.
just the regular show, and they seem to have plans to keep the shows going. Like they seem to do. They're making a third show.
Wow.
Supposedly, I didn't even look it up to
How
see what.
how will you feel to have your town ravaged by zombies?
We actually do a. I've never been, but apparently there's a like an annual zombie walk here
Oh, yeah, I
in.
think they got those here, they
Yeah,
got those all over the place.
yeah, so we have stuff like that. We're a big art school, so there's always people doing strange art stuff for theater kids walking
Yeah.
around. You know. Um, in one of my art classes, this was my sculpture class. my freshman year of college. One of the things we had to do, our assignment was we all got assigned a excuse me, I have the hiccups.
Mm.
Um, we all got assigned a bone of the human body, and we had to construct that bone basically out of paper mache. It was like
Uh-huh.
cardboard, like stripped down and
Yeah.
glue, all of that stuff. But it was like all of the art students that cycled through all of the sculpture classes got a specific bone, and we
Mhm.
had to make it. I want to say it was like 5 times bigger than what it was. It
Wow.
was like 3 or 5 times bigger. I think I had something in the leg. I had like a major leg bone, hip bones connected to the thigh bone. Who knows?
Yeah.
Um, but then once we were all done with them, we assembled them all together,
Big
and we
skeleton.
had this giant skeleton for the Halloween parade that we
Oh,
had. We
that's
all
so
like marched
good.
it down the
Oh,
street. It was fun. It was good. It was good. Um, but yeah, I mean, so we do weird enough stuff. We've had stuff film here a lot because we're still technically in the South, and a lot of
okay.
southern like rural areas I think are cheaper to film in. That's why you see a lot of stuff filmed in Georgia and
Mhm.
just stuff like that. We had there's that show Homeland.
Yes.
We had that filming here in Richmond last year, I believe. And then what was it? What movie was it? It was one of those historical drama movies. I want to say it was the Abe Lincoln movie. Wasn't there something?
Lincoln.
Yeah, that one. I think that filmed in Richmond too. So got a lot of history here.
You
Not all of
sure
it good.
do. Yeah, so I give you Missouri facts constantly. This is all I'm made out of, really. It's just state pride and fun facts. And I'm like, I don't know anything about Virginia. So yesterday I googled movies set in Virginia. Like, oh dang, it's all like historical stuff and it's all stuff that's really set in Washington D.C. and just leaves for a little bit.
Yeah.
It was a bunch of political thrillers and Pocahontas.
Yeah. Yeah, we have all of the like we have all the like government stuff in
Mhm.
DC. There's the like CIA headquarters,
Yeah.
all of that stuff. Remember the Titans is in Virginia.
That one, you told me about that one. I
Um,
think the most prolific thing
Pocahontas, yeah.
set in St. Louis. A couple years ago, and like I say a couple years ago, this was like 2009, maybe 2010. There was a George Clooney movie called Up in the Air, and he was this business consultant that flew around and traveled so much. He was almost constantly on the move. Like he's never anywhere for more than like 2 weeks at a time. And
Mm-hmm.
like one of the big plot threads of this movie is that he's close to getting this.
Triple X State of the Union was filmed in Virginia, or takes place in Virginia.
He's he's going to
Sorry.
be eligible to get this crazy like ultra diamond platinum like legacy club pass
Uh-huh.
from this airline because they're like you are in like the top 5 people ever that have traveled the most on this airline. You're always flying. And there's a part in the movie where they go to Lambert International Airport here in St. Louis
Mm-hmm.
just for like, I don't know, 20 minutes. But they filmed it here, and that was the biggest deal. For like 3 solid weeks, all you heard about was possible George Clooney sightings in our
Yep.
town.
Yep.
So I feel like he's not a homeboy, but he's an honorary homeboy. I feel like we all really embraced and supported him for those 3 weeks back in
That's funny.
2009.
Yeah, I mean, we have there because a lot of like Civil War history took
Mhm.
p- place here in Richmond. Richmond even burned down at one point. I think that was what was his name that did the march that burned everything down?
Yeah.
Sherman, I believe is his name I don't know
Nice.
anything about history because I really don't care.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so we have all of that stuff. We unfortunately have a lot of Confederate
Mhm.
statues and stuff like that because it was a big deal here. Um, and we have Monument Avenue, and it is just a street
Ooh.
of them, just
Oh.
every block. And I mean, it's beautiful to like walk down that street. But yeah, it's just these old white men that
Mhm.
fought for like we want slavery, and it's just like
Yeah.
this is
Yeah.
not good. We shouldn't be uh proud of that.
Mhm.
um, but yeah, so there is a lot of like history museums here. I think we have an Edgar Allan Poe museum here
Oh.
in Richmond. Apparently, it's really really small though, because I think he was from somewhere in Virginia. I
Mhm.
think he went to college at UVA, if I'm not
Huh.
mistaken, or somewhere around here. And there's a bug in here, and it's really bothering me. I can be
Hmm.
completely wrong about Edgar Allan Poe, but he is. There is some significant thing with him and Virginia around here
Yeah.
that I
I
know.
thought he was from, like, Baltimore, but
Yeah,
I
it
don't
was like here in
you're
Baltimore.
you're all so small and close together over there.
Yeah,
If you're from one state,
the
in, like, the Eastern Seaboard, you might as well be from another one.
Yeah, the crazy thing to me, the one thing that I guess people don't know because it's still a mystery is what happened to the colony at Roanoke.
Ah, yeah!
No one knows. They
You
just
live in
up and
Mystery
left.
State!
Yeah, and no sign of them. They just disappeared. Who knows if it was aliens or if it was Godzilla or if no one knows.
Oh,
No one knows. That's strange. That's always brought up every now and again in some movie or a book. You know.
yeah.
But yeah, go. Not
Neat
not
stuff.
not not much stuff happening in Virginia right now.
Just art and
Yeah,
big skeletons. What is how long is Big Skeleton still there? You guys didn't, like, get rid of it after that Halloween parade. Where does it live?
it probably eventually got tossed out.
Big
Or well, I
skeleton.
think I think you. I mean, you could take your pieces home.
Oh, he's been
They got
disassembled.
disassembled.
Well,
Yeah,
maybe he can call
I
himself back together like the Iron Giant.
I didn't keep mine because I didn't care, and it was just
What?
such a plain looking bone. It
I
looked
would
like
love to have
stereotypical giant bone.
I would love to have a giant bone in my house, just on my mantle. Are you kidding?
If you could hang anything above your mantle in your home,
Mm,
what would it be? Like
mm,
dream thing? Would it be a giant bone from
giant
some
bone.
dinosaur, or would it be some famous painting from your favorite artist, or
Oh,
what would it be?
I'd love to have, like, a really fancy oil portrait of my family where
Okay.
it's just us, but in, like, furs and crowns with scepters.
Scepters and giant
We're all
jewels
wearing
and
frills, and we have, like, our hands stuck in our jackets like Napoleon. That's what I want.
that's fantastic. I knew I've only ever known one family who had like a bug. They had some painting commissioned of their family, and it was actually a good painting of them too. Because I'm sure you've seen ones out there that were like, we commissioned a portrait of our family, and it does not turn out well. But that one was good, and it was in their that house they lived in. It was fancy enough to have like two living rooms, and this is the one that no one was
Ooh.
allowed in.
Oh, yeah, the parlor.
Yeah, yeah. So it was in that. So no one really went in that room anyways. But it was, yeah. And it's not even like it was a super fancy house, but it was
Mhm.
just like it was big enough that it had a
Yeah,
second living room. Besides that, it just seemed like a normal house.
that's the dream. I just want one extraneous room in my house, and then I'll be happy.
Just one to just go completely
Just
bonkers with.
just one extra, one more than I really need. And yeah, I can do anything with it.
Yeah. I told the story about my dad and the knives, right?
Yes! Knife Dad.
Yeah. So that was one of the things that, like, if I still had that sword, I would love to hang that above the mantelpiece. We don't have it, so.
You know what I'd love to do with an extra room in a house? This would have to be a closed off room, like a small extra bedroom or den or something. You know that room that Mr. Incredible has that's filled with memorabilia about his superhero heyday?
You just want like a superhero
No,
hideout thing with like the Batman costumes in all of the
but I'd
cases.
I'd make it all up and it would be like I was a superhero and I'd keep the door locked and one day my future children would stumble in there and I'm like, "Well, children, you found out mom's big secret. It was
You'd
me.
have to
I
be
was
like
Galactic Gal."
you'd have to be watching the news really loudly, and then when something bad comes on, you'd be like, "Oh, I got a call," and you just have to leave and just go to a coffee shop for an hour or so, and then
I'm just in
come
there
back.
folding
Yeah,
laundry.
yeah. Like, Mom, where did you go?
Justice calls. Sport, pal, child.
Squirt. That'd be hilarious. Like, well, it was just the news was so bad that I had to go do something and call the cops or something. But Mom was already on the news. Well, that doesn't mean we're completely helpless.
Oh yes.
Yeah, and then when they turn 18, or like, we're like, I am
Now the
bequeathing you
mantle
my
is
secrets.
yours.
That would be hilarious. I would Something like that would be fun. I don't know if I would actually do that, because that's a lot of effort to like make all of that and then not use it, right?
Yeah. I'd have to put like a sofa bed in there for like, well, and this is where grandma sleeps when she goes to visit. So my mom surrounded by all
She's
these
sitting there like,
photoshopped pictures of me as a superhero.
what has my daughter gotten into? I knew she was one of those spandex costume deviants. um, I think if like, yeah, like, I would want something really nerdy to hang above a fireplace, but something that's like, I mean, something like the Master Sword and Shield from Zelda would be really neat, because it's like, it's a sword and shield. That's kind of what goes above mantle.
I think
Pieces,
so. It's
stuff
like
that.
those just big dang mirrors, a moose or deer, bear if you're really tough.
Yeah, something like that. We did I tell you about the moose head that we have at our house?
I don't know. I don't think you
I
did.
I may have when we first moved in. So we
Oh,
have
okay.
we moved into the house that I'm in now at the start of February. And we have a room that's meant to be like a dining room or something like that. We don't actually have a dining room table or anything, so it is like our parlor. But it has our like drink cabinet and stuff, and all of our alcohol is displayed on there and stuff like that. And we even have a chalkboard sign from some, I don't know if it was it used to be a restaurant at some point or something like that, but it's a chalkboard sign thing that we can write on and stuff. So that has our menu of
Nice.
stuff like that. But I don't know where they got it, but one of my roommates got an inflatable moose head,
Oh, yes, I know these.
and
Yes.
we stuck it up on the wall above the drink cabinet, and it was great. It was just like it made it made the room, because it was like it's this big almost empty room. There's these like antique
Yes.
couches that we don't really use. We have our china cabinet. We have like a drawer thing, chest
Mhm.
or drawers. Do they call it chest of drawers or Chester drawers? Because I've heard both.
No. No, you've not heard a person say Chester drawers.
I swear to God.
God.
Look,
A, ch-
I
a Chester drawers?
I
That's
look. I wipe my hands
this is
clean
a
of that because
joke.
I don't know
This is
what
a
to call
joke
them.
from your
But
father or
people
someone
are
else's.
idiots.
Chester drawers.
But so we have that, and then we have our liquor cabinet and all that stuff, and then we hung up that moose head there, and it's just like this room actually kind of feels complete now.
Mm-hmm.
So that's funny stuff. Melissa,
Yes,
you have something written down here about Star Trek.
I do indeed.
Talk to
So,
me about Star Trek.
so recently, my YouTube recommendations provided to me history of the Kirk and Spock ship. So I
Okay.
watched like a 15-minute little historical piece on this is where the ship came from. This is how it like built fandom back in the 1960s, where people would like write a fan fiction on a typewriter and then print it out and mail it to somebody who was
Send it in, yeah.
photocopying a fanzine out of their basement and then would mail it back to you for $1. Like old school stuff. I
Right.
watched that, and like Star Trek has been this sort of always hanging over my head my entire life. Like
Same.
one of these days it's going to come for me, and it will not let me go again.
It did,
I've
has the what are their names again? Spock and
Kirk,
Kirk. Yeah, sure, those ones.
Kyle,
Uh,
Kyle.
I'm not a Trekkie. I don't know their names. I don't know. You
Don't
can't get
know
mad at me for that.
name. I feel like these are basic like fact one
I
things you would
yeah,
know
no,
just being a general all-purpose nerd.
I know their names. It's just it's one of those things when I'm on. God damn it, this stupid bug. When I when I'm on the podcast, I just black out.
You forgot everything except for breathing and
I
fine
I
dining.
forget everything, and it just yeah. Like I don't know what it is, but I just my memory goes to shit when I'm on a podcast. I'm just like, what's that Lincoln movie called? I don't
Lincoln.
know, some movie about Lincoln.
You are the person who is in charge. Like you've got, I don't know what you have on your side, just all kinds of like audio mixers and like video feeds and Twitches. And I
I'm
don't, to be fair, I don't, you're busy. You're busy. You got your hands full. You're our
I'm
guy in the chair over
I'm
there.
gonna take a picture of all the stuff that you can see on
Yeah.
my end, and then you.
Hold on. What's with this monogrammed shirt that just has a giant S on it? Like you're a comic book character.
Because it's a comic book character's shirt. It's
Who's this?
Jughead.
Oh, is it
Jughead
like
has the big
Southside
S, yeah.
Serpents?
Yeah, well,
Okay, I
it's their. I think he has this shirt on. I'm sure it is Southside, or it's like their school shirt or something like that. But yeah, he has this shirt
I thought
on.
you just got it because it was your name, and I'm like, I want to get on that. I'm gonna get a shirt with a big W on it. I've
You just
been
have to
thinking.
get one of those like the Harry Potter like Ron
Yes, yes, just one of those works for
knitted
me.
sweatshirts. Okay,
I
I'm gonna send you this picture here.
Thank you. I've been wanting to like ask my brothers I am 28, my younger brother's about to turn 27, and our older brother is 42. Am I too old to get an "I'm the middle sister" shirt? Because you really only get those when you are a little kid, and it's like, "New one has been born. Here's your shirt recognizing your new place in the family order," or, like, you're all going to a family reunion, or you're taking a big group photo, or family vacation, something like that. Is that the only time you're allowed to have one? Can I be a 28-year-old woman wearing a t-shirt that just says, "I'm the middle sister," because I want one?
I I mean, sure, you can do that. I don't see a situation where you can wear that out in public and it's not ironic unless you're with your siblings that also have the shirt on, which then it's also kind of ironic that
They
all
don't
of you
have
are
to also
together
have
wearing
their
those
owns
shirts.
that say, like, "I'm the older brother" or "I'm the little brother." Like, I just want one for myself. And people ask me, "What does that mean?" I'm like, "It's, just like a fact I'm proud of."
It's my Twitter bio.
I'm the middle sister. But I
Speaking,
am from hmm?
go ahead.
I am from a Star Trek family. That's my dad's thing,
Okay.
going way back. So we grew up with him watching Star Trek TNG all the time. I
Mhm.
believe I mentioned this recently that, like,
I think you did, yeah.
one of my earliest memories is just walking around with a headband over my eyes saying, "Look, Dad, I'm the guy from Star Trek." So it's always been something I have been aware of. I have always known the basics of Star Trek, and I have always liked them. And my entire life, I'm like, one of these days I'm really gonna get into Star Trek.
Mhm.
And, like, I'm getting closer to that. So this week I had a cold and I would just come home from work and I would no,
It,
did you get it?
no,
Oh.
I'm hoping so.
Mm. And I would come home from work and I would just zonk out on the couch. Like, I had no energy to do anything. This is why I didn't start the comic for the review show this week until yesterday. Yesterday was the first day I had any energy to
Which,
read.
speaking of shirts that that may or may not have my name on this, basically the main character in the Transformers
Yes.
comic, his name is Springer, and I
Yes.
didn't know that. And that's my last name. So that was not planned, I assure you.
Well, I
Oh, did
I
I
have
get him?
something I have something to pitch you where the
God
main
damn it.
character is coincidentally named Wilkinson, so we could even
Okay,
this out
one
if you
day.
want to. Yeah. So I'd come home from work, I'd zonk out, and I'm like, I just want to watch a movie. And I
Mhm.
stare at my DVD shelf. I'm like, I haven't seen this J.J. Abrams Star Trek in a while.
Okay.
How's this thing looking? So I watched that, and the next day I watched Into Darkness. And then Into Darkness is kind of a soft reboot of Wrath
Hmm.
of Khan. So next I'm gonna watch Wrath of Khan. I'm gonna watch the next new Trek movie. My dad has a box set of all of the original TOS
Okay.
Trek movies that I'm gonna burn through. And I haven't made the turn yet. I think the day I sit down and, all right, the original series, episode 1, is the day I give in and I make the full transformation.
Yep.
And
I know
right
how
now
you feel.
I'm just edging into it. Like, well, I'll watch all the movies and we'll see how I feel after that. Like, it's almost like this.
Yeah.
It is like when you get bit by a zombie and you're like, no, I can still live. I don't have to succumb yet. Like, I love Star Trek as a concept. I really want to get more into it, but I know once I start, there's no turning back, and that will
Right.
just be who I am for the rest of my life. So I'm hesitant. I really want to save it for, like, okay, I have nothing left. I'm at an empty period in my life. It's time for Star Trek to come take me.
Every now and then you need a show like that where you're
Mhm.
just like, I haven't seen The Sopranos. I'm just gonna
Mm.
start The Sopranos, which is
Welcome to the
on
next 3
my list.
months of
Yeah,
your life. Yeah.
yeah, and it's just like social life is gonna be gone for the next month and a half. I'm just gonna sit here and watch all of the Sopranos. I got
Mhm.
my roommate into watching Lost. When I first moved down here to Richmond, my very first roommate that I had was this Korean guy named Sung,
Mm.
and Sung was hilarious. Um, and I got him into watching Lost because I was watching the final
Oh,
season, but since he's Korean, he could understand like
yeah.
Sun and Jin. He goes, that guy's accent is terrible. And so he would tell me the things they were saying as
Mhm.
they were saying it, and be like,
Oh.
okay, that's a little bit different from the subtitles, but it's same thing. And then he started watching it, and he finished the whole show in like a month. But it was the thing where he would just, that's all he would do. I would
Mhm.
come home. He was watching Lost. He'd be watching Lost that whole night. It'd be
Mhm.
3 a.m. I'd wake up and he's still sitting there watching Lost. And I'm
Yeah.
like, yes,
Yeah. Like,
I've got another one.
the time will find you. Like, it took me a long time to watch Avatar: The Last Airbender,
Mhm.
and it was something people had been recommending to me for years, and I'm like, I'll know when the time is right for me to watch all of Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Yeah.
And it hit me in college, and that is all I did for like 3 months.
Yep.
And
Exactly.
Star Trek is bigger. That's like, oh, now my life is different. Like forever now. So I'm
Yeah.
kind of like pushing it off. What a big change. Maybe when
Yep.
in my 30s I will be the Star Trek person. But for right now I'm just taking baby steps into it.
There you
Just
go.
to
There's
kind of get
nothing
my
wrong with
nerd
that too.
cred up a little bit before I undergo the full transformation.
Yeah. Sometimes you have to do it in chunks. I did that. I did not do it in chunks with Gundam. That was one of those
Mm,
things. Like when I was making that Toonami beat tape thing that
yes.
I mentioned a long time ago. The research, air
Yep.
quotes, that I was doing was just watching all of those shows that were
Mhm.
on Toonami and taking notes of like, I could sample that. Like, there's no back. Like, I had to listen for stuff that didn't really have much background sound effects
Mhm.
and stuff that would be like iconic or recognizable. Be like, ooh, I can write that down. Episode 3, season 2, he says this thing,
Mhm.
so look for that. And I eventually went back to the original Gundam series, and because I had seen like Gundam Wing, I'd seen
Yeah.
G Gundam, but I hadn't seen the original yet. And I watched it, and I was like, "This is good. I really like this. I think I'm just gonna take a break from watching all these shows on Toonami by literally watching every Gundam show that I can find."
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
did. There was like 20 of them, and I watched them all back to back. And they're all in like multiple universes and all of this stuff. I watched all of the ones that I could find back then.
It'll it's good to have those. You have to space them out though. Like I just did all of Dresden Files last year, and
Yeah,
that'll carry me for a little while. When I was 15, I got super into X-Files,
yeah.
which like I had seen growing up, I liked
Kind of have
growing
to
up.
go in cycles.
Yeah, yeah. Like it will find you
Yeah,
when the time is right. It will
yeah.
come, the fandom will come for you, and then you will transform and your life will be forever different. Like I have a definite pre X-Files, post X-Files time in my life.
Yep. Yeah, I had that with Star Wars too.
Mm.
When I finally watched the Clone Wars, I was out in Texas, and a coworker of mine was a big Star Wars nerd, and he knew that that I was a big comic book nerd.
Mhm.
So he would ask me like, "So, what happened in Civil War in the comics? Because they're about to have that big Marvel
Mhm.
movie." I was like, "Oh, well, this happened and this and this and that." And then I'd be like, "So I like Star Wars, but I'm not a big Star Wars fan like you.
Yeah,
Teach me your ways." You know,
exactly.
and yeah, so he's like, all right, well, watch this, watch that, look for that. Here's why I really like this. Go watch this documentary on George
Mm.
Lucas versus the people, and why we all hate George Lucas and why he's the worst.
Oof.
And then yeah, and so I did that, and I started to understand. And then once I watched the Clone Wars cartoon, I was like, I get it now. I understand. I love Star Wars too.
Mm.
Speaking of Star Wars,
Ah.
though, Gary Whitta. I want to give a shout out to Gary
Who is this?
Whitta. He is the screenwriter for Rogue One.
Oh.
He is also one of the co-hosts of Kind of Funny Games Daily. He hosts it every
Oh.
he hosts it every Wednesday. He also is a former editor of, like, I think PC Magazine or something like that
Wow,
back in the
what an
day.
illustrious career.
Oh yeah, he also wrote the Book of Eli.
Hmm.
If you guys remember that movie and stuff like that. But he's been getting back into Twitch recently, and it is the best thing ever.
Oh.
It's great. So he's kind of started it up on a whim. I guess he apparently he used to stream PUBG. He would play Player Unknown's Battlegrounds, but he kind of stopped on that. But this month on Netflix, the Book of Eli is coming to Netflix. And since he wrote that, he was like, it'd be kind of neat to do like a streaming commentary kind of
That's
thing.
neat.
Because nowadays a lot of these movies, since they just go to streaming stuff, and that's usually people's mode of watching it, like, you don't really get the director's commentary or all of that stuff. You just watch it on Netflix. You don't get all that extra stuff. So he was like, maybe I should do like a live watch along
That's
to
cool.
Book of Eli and just do commentary and take people's questions and stuff, like, as we're all watching this film. And so he's started Twitch streaming just to kind of prepare himself, and he actually really likes it. And he's like, I bought like fancy lights for the background and all that stuff, and he's just on there just chatting and talking about stuff, and it's fantastic. So you guys should go check out Gary Whitta on Twitch, because it's a lot of fun to see him do his thing. So shout out to him.
Nice.
Yeah. That's all I have.
Yeah,
for
I
this
think
week, though.
we're at a good place to wrap it up for the day. I still have to finish our comic for the review show.
Yes, which is normally what we would be recording right now, but we are a little bit postponed with all of that
Our
schedule
stuff. Got a little bit topsy-turvy this week.
Yeah, it was a much more dense comic than we were expecting.
Yeah. I had to tell you, I was expecting like whiff, bam, pow, car chase, like,
yeah,
much more light. And no, this is dense.
There you go.
This is a tome.
So yeah, keep me in the loop on that when we'll record. That being said, housekeeping stuff. Last week here on the review show, we talked, or not the review show, last week here on the Captain's Log, we talked about our favorite OTPs. I didn't know what OTP meant.
Your one true pairing. So we walked through some of our favorite ships.
Yep, and all of mine are gay. It's great.
Good.
And so yeah, go check that out if you have not already. Coming up on the review show, I guess last week on the review show we covered Titan AE.
Yeah.
An animated film from 2000. And yeah, we talked a bunch about that, about the animation, all the stuff that was happening there with the studio and stuff like that. It was good. It was fun. It was fun. You'll have to go check out our thoughts on that. It's almost 20 years old. It makes me feel so old.
It is boggling. I feel boggled.
And the comic that we ended up finding out was much more dense is the Wreckers Saga, which is a Transformers comic.
Yeah.
We decided to pitch some giant robot stuff in honor of Evangelion being on Netflix. We did not end up picking Evangelion. Instead, we went with Transformers. And as we also mentioned, the main character happens to be named Springer. And that was completely unbeknownst to me. So that was interesting to read and have that be like, hey, Springer, do this. Hey, Springer. I'm just like, oh, God. Flashbacks, nightmares. But yeah, so we have that for you guys to look forward to. You guys should go check out all that stuff. Melissa.
Yes.
Where can the people find you on the internet?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Wilkywit. That's WILKYWIT.
I am at Yo Kyle Springer on both Twitter and Instagram. If you guys want updates with this show or any of the other podcasts that we do, we are at the Whatnauts on Twitter. Go check out the whatnauts.com for more information for all of our podcasts. Follow us here on Twitch. Go subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Like, share, subscribe, sell your soul. Do all that stuff. Yeah, we'll be back next week with episode 57 of the Captain's Log. We're getting up there in the
Big numbers.
Good stuff. I forgot to figure out how many episodes you've been on, Melissa. I promise next week,
okay,
I will report back with the number of Whatnauts episodes you've been on. I'll have the full breakdown. And then I'll also come back with my top 3 robots.
Oh, yes.
We were supposed to do that, and we never did. Next week.
Yes, next week.
Next week, for sure. We will see you guys later on then. Adios.
Bye.
Thank you so much for checking out that episode of the Whatnauts Captain's Log. Thank you for checking us out this long. I don't know. I don't know what to say in these end things. It's awkward. Do I say the same thing every time, or do I just be like, "Hey, you, go subscribe to our channel. Go watch that video now." Do it. Yeah, that one's good. We'll stick with that one.